Hello and welcome to Chess with Simon. I'm Simon. I just shared a Latvian Gambit game, which is my favourite unsound opening, but this is my second favourite unsound opening with white, which is of course the Grob, pioneered by Michael Bassman. Includes lots of interesting ideas. The modern computers absolutely hate it. So if we switch the engine on, straight away, minus 1.28, and in the cloud they think it's even worse. The engine's in the cloud when they run for longer. That's a terrible way to meet it. That is probably one of the worst ways to meet it. Let's not look into the worst ways, but that is a bad way to meet it, because after bishop g2, black has to make an awkward move. So then I played d4, just to perhaps inconvenience that knight. Opponent wanted to play e6. Okay, I defended the pawn because it's just in the spirit, but actually unnecessary. Grab the centre, even though we said we'd play a flank opening. This is not a good move, I wouldn't think, because of the move I played. Knight f6 isn't good. It preferred g5, of course it preferred g5. g5 is absolutely in the spirit. That's one of the reasons we play g4, to hit that knight on f6. Castling into it just feels like a mistake. In fact, the computer agrees. You know, it's really here, d5 the computer likes. It's not a good idea to castle into it. Okay, I develop a knight. I'm thinking of getting the knight to g3, which apparently is also a mistake. Better to castle. But I'm choosing not to castle because I want to attack on the king side and either keep my king in the centre or put my king on the queen side. So this is all about getting the king to the queen side if required. Okay, this was embarrassing. Had to go back to d1. I didn't want to do that climb down. Then I just get the pawns rolling, and the engine likes it. Just get the pawns rolling. This is a bad move because actually you can take it with the bishop. When I take back, you take it with the knight. Didn't see that in a blitz game. Okay, g5 was better here, just getting the pawns rolling. But now, to be honest, there was quite a bit of pressure here because that kingside attack is really mounting up, and black doesn't have counterplay. So this knight, the computer really likes this, the knight in here. You can hit it, but all of a sudden, our pieces are coordinating really nicely. I was even thinking about taking on c6, messing up the pawns, and then kind of, using the g file. It liked g5, and now look at this, and the computer thinks it's the best, h5, and all of a sudden those pawns are all going to come off, and that king's going to look really lonely. So our opponent tried a fork, but we're still +6 here. So this is a check, this is a check, this is a check, 3 checks running. That's a kind of intermezzo check, right? So I think we're in exchange up here and probably a couple of pawns. Feels about right? We're in exchange and a couple of pawns up. Then unfortunately our opponent makes a mistake under pressure trying to cover back. Queen just takes that and it's mate in 4. So what did we learn from that? What we learned from that is it's fun sometimes to show that certain openings work even if they're really offbeat. To be honest, our opponent didn't play as accurately against this as they could. b6 is not the best way to meet it. I think that was played very quickly in 1 second. So played in 1 second, so probably that was just a standard. I think there was a famous Lawrence Trent course that on Chessable where it was like b6 against any opening, but b6 doesn't work against g3 and it doesn't work against g4. You can play it against e4 and d4 and c4. I'm not sure it's even the best against those. You end up in some kind of French, but against g3 and g4 it's really not good because of this, which the engine likes. So our opponent basically let us get the centre. We basically transposed into classical chess with a kingside pawn storm, and our opponent was kind enough to castle into the kingside pawn storm, and so that's a reasonably traditional way of winning. It wasn't really like a Grob, but that blizzard of checks was fun, and this is just a mistake, but it happens under pressure. So that cheered me up after the disappointment of the Latvian Gambit. Look forward to seeing you soon.